video, we are going to look at Google Add-Ons. These are little scripts which can be added on to Google Docs and Google Sheets. Coming in the future also will be Google Forms. So let's see how a few of them work. It's easy to add an add-on to your Google Docs. However, you may want to be cautious and only put the add-ins that you really want to use. So to add an add-on, you go to the add-on portion of your toolbar, and you can scroll down to get add-ons. Take you over to the Google Store, and you can see add-ons that are currently available to CPS. And you can try them and see which ones work for you. We'll take a look at a few of them today in this video. If I click on one, it's going to ask me if I want it, and it'll say if there's a price associated or if it's free. I click on that, and it asks me for permission to put it on. If I accept it, it is installed. It gives me a little hint about how it works. And I can check in later and see that it has been added to my list of add-ons. So it's just that easy to put an add-on in your doc. First, let's take a look at the EasyBib add-on. I'm going to go to my list of add-ons, go to EasyBib, say Manage Bibliography. Brings up the EasyBib toolbar here. Notice that I can add books, journal articles, or websites. So let's say that I'm doing a report on conservation. And let's say that I have used this Earth Day website. Copy the URL, come back to my document, I'm going to select website, and enter the URL. EasyBib searches for it. I click on this to say yes, they found the correct website. And I can select MLA, APA, or Chicago style. When I'm ready, I say Add Bibliography to Doc. And just that quickly, it does begin to generate a bibliography for me. Let's see a couple of more. So I'm going to select this website, Conservation International, that I used for my report. Enter the URL, search, select, and add to bibliography. And notice that it puts it in alphabetical order. You can do the same for books and journal articles. So that's how EasyBib works. Next, let's look at the add-on MindMeister, which is a great tool to create mind maps. So first, you'll ask your students to create a bulleted list. The top level of the bullet should be the overall category, and then you can create subcategories within it. Make sure your students are aware of the decrease indent and increase indent functions so that they can create their list properly. When you're ready to create the mind map, highlight the parts that need to be on the mind map, go to Add-ons, MindMeister, insert as a mind map. It's working, and it will create the mind map, which appears below. Note that foods are the center category, with fruits and vegetables being off to the sides, and then the subcategories next to them. So you can click on the MindMeister map, and you'll get other functionality such as being able to wrap the text, break the text, and so on. And so that actually can be used anywhere that you want in the document. So that's MindMeister. Next, let's look at the add-on Text Help Study Skills. I'm going to select that on my add-on list and ask it to bring up the Highlighting Tools toolbar. So let's look at this toolbar and how it works. It explains that the highlights key areas of your document to collect, group, and learn from later. So this tool can be used by one student or by multiple students. And going down to the bottom here, it gives you helpful tips and hints for classroom use. So highlighting tools could be used if you're asking your students to find main ideas, supporting details, key facts in a piece of text, difficult words, parts of a sentence, words containing special sounds. So it can really be used K-12 almost. Let's go back to an article that I've selected from one of our online databases and see how it works. It could be that you are asking the students to look at a larger piece of work and highlight the key facts that they may want to use later on in a report that they're creating. Students often have a difficult time synthesizing more complex text, and so this could be a way to do that. So what the students will do is select a highlighting color. And oops, so you need to actually highlight the text first. So I'm going to look through here and see facts that I may want to use later on in another report. So maybe I will want to mention that she was nominated for the National Book Award in 1970 for I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. So that would be a big one. Um, Oops, and I drag it there. So I'm going to go on that again and highlight it. Now that becomes yellow. So there may be a few other things here that I want to highlight. And then there may be some other things that I want to have on a different list that maybe are sub-facts or that I will use at some point and I have a different purpose for, such as when she's born and where she's born. Maybe that's just a little fact that I may add later on. So I may highlight that in a different color. And I can go through the document in that way. Again, it could be main ideas. It could be, if it was a primary document, it might be as simple as sounds that we're looking for or words that the student is unfamiliar with. So at that point, I'm going to say collect highlights. And it asks me if I want to sort the highlights by the position they are in the document or the color. So in this case, we'll say color because that will give me categories. I'm going to say collect highlights. And it's actually going to create a new document for me, which I can get by clicking here. And this has created a new document with a distinct URL that separates my main ideas that I may want to use later on for a report and some of my facts that are not key to the article or to the report, but maybe I will want to include in there. So it's a great way to help students to organize their thoughts in a way that they can use later on. Let's take a look at the add-on Google Translate. I'm going to select that and start. Brings up the toolbar for it. Translate can be very useful for your EL students who may need a little additional support for words or sentences that they don't know. Also for your world language students. So perhaps I need help to understand this sentence here. I've copied it. And notice that it gives me a choice of languages to translate it to. So I paste that in and select the language. It auto-detects for me that it's in English. And I have currently the choice to translate it to English, French, German, Japanese, or Spanish. And you could also select those languages by default so you don't have to keep typing them in. I'm going to ask it to translate, and it translates it there for me. So that's the Translate add-on. Google Add-ons are also currently working for spreadsheets. So let's take a look at this add-on called More Fonts. Sometimes in creating a spreadsheet, you may want the fonts to look a little different, especially if it's going to be something on display or something that you really want to stand out. So it works pretty easily. Let's say I want to change the font on the word vegetables. I go to my add-on and I select the More Fonts add-on, and I decide which one of these fonts I can want to use. You can also show more fonts if you want to. So say I select that one. It automatically changes it for me. From there, I can go ahead and use my regular toolbar to do things like change the color or the size. So that's Google Fonts. Let's look at one more. Let's look at styles for spreadsheet. I'm going to open up my styles viewer, and it'll bring up this toolbar, which will allow me to create some styles similar to what you may be aware of with Microsoft Word. So let's say that I want to click on to this cell, and maybe I want to put a comment as a teacher, or students put comments for each other, and maybe that means good. Maybe I don't want that there. Maybe I want to click on this one and mark it as a linked cell. Notice it could take a moment for it to change as you make changes. Let's say I want this one to be a heading style. I could do that as well. Maybe do that for the other one. Maybe I want these to be themed cells. And I can click on them to have them change colors as I go across. So it's just a way to add a little bit more functionality or visibility to your Google spreadsheet. There are a lot of other add-ons for Google Spreadsheets and Google Docs, so you can try those out. Now let's look at one more thing, and that's how to manage your add-ons. You may want to at times delete an add-on if you feel that it's causing your document to perform too slowly, or some of these tools will be monetizing in the future, and so they may be asking for money to have additional functionality. At that time, you may not be interested in continuing with the add-on. So you may continually be adding and subtracting add-ons. Let's go to the add-on feature and say Manage Add-ons. Let's look at this one. Let's say that I really don't need this one anymore. I can go to it and say remove, and it's no longer there. You can get help for an add-on. You can report an issue if you think one's not working. Note that you can also rate add-ons. I find that really helpful to see what others have thought of them. So the add-ons feature will be continuing to grow and develop over time with Google. As mentioned, it will also be adding to Forms next. That's been announced as well. So keep an eye on add-ons and see, how they can work for you. Thank you.